Hi, I am Mohana, daughter of N. Subramaniam. In this presentation, I would like to describe about plastic culture. To be more competitive in today's market, vegetable growers are constantly looking for new ways to achieve higher quality produce, superior yields, and early spring markets. The plastic culture system combines bed raised, plastic mulch, drip irrigation, and fumigation has helped an increased number of vegetable growers to reach these goals. Growing vegetables using this plastic culture system have doubled and tripled the yields and harvested their crops 2 to 3 weeks earlier than is possible with traditional growing methods. Basically, plastic culture is the utilization of lightweight plastic in agriculture sector to cover the seedbed. In the 1980s, plastic culture involved more than 2 million tons per year plastic consumption in the world. They can be old techniques which involve the mulching and drainage, and then it has evolved to a new techniques which involve localized irrigation and floating row covers. Both are economically viable with plastic materials. The main purpose of this plastic culture system is to control the soil temperature, retain moisture, and also to retard insects, invaders, and weeds. So this plastic culture is also referred as row cover and greenhouses. It is noteworthy that plastic culture is a system that cannot function optimally without all of its components. So in this slide, I am going to brief on the components of plastic culture. Firstly, the raised beds. They are actually used to maintain or control the soil temperature, and that will eventually create a warmer condition in the spring. Plastic mulch actually helps warm the soil and reduces the loss of water. It also protects the leaves and fruit from diseases by avoiding the direct contact with the soil. Drip irrigation is another component of the plastic culture. It actually provides a constant supply of water, so it is indirectly retain the moisture level of the soil. Last but not least, fumigation. Fumigation actually helps control the weeds, insects, and diseases. It is considered as one of the important elements of plastic culture because it has the potential to control the pest activity. Plastic culture is a management-intensive system that requires careful planning and close attention. Its benefits, however, can be many. Before you invest in plastic culture, you really need to carefully weigh the advantages and disadvantages versus the traditional practices. In this slide, I have listed a few advantages and disadvantages of plastic culture. So now, let us take a closer look on the advantages of plastic culture. So firstly, it has the potential to produce earlier production compared to the traditional growing method. Plastic mulch has the potential to raise the soil temperature, and this will eventually assist the plants to grow and or develop more rapidly and develop prior. So the spring vegetables which developed on the dark plastic can be harvested or gathered 7 to 21 days earlier compared to the one with non-plastic mulch. So harvesting 1 to 2 weeks earlier often significantly expand the expertise advantages and the cost growers receive. Secondly, plastic culture can reduce the leaching of fertilizer. Since many fertilizer nutrients are not held tightly in the soil, the rainfall and excessive irrigation may leach them below the roots of plants grown on the bare ground. The plastic mulch covering the bed actually prevents the rainfall from percolating through the soil and moving nutrients beyond the reach of plant roots. Preventing leaching actually improves the efficiency of production. So this is done by eliminating the need to make several trips through the field to resupply the leached nutrients. So by doing this, we can actually save time, fuel, and fertilizer. And it helps prevent the reduced quality and lower yields. Finally, minimizing the amount of leaching into the soil will actually protect water from fertilizer contamination. It's one of the advantages of using or practicing the plastic culture. The black plastic mulch actually prevents the growth of most weeds, except the nuts edge. Clear plastic, however, does not prevent the growth of weeds because it allows the sunlight to penetrate through it. So if you are going to use a clear plastic, you need to make sure that you are using herbicides or soil fumigant to control the growth of weeds. The increased plant growth is another advantage of plasticulture. The plants grow more with plastic mulch for two reasons. Firstly, soil temperature at the 2-inch depth increased by up to 10 Fahrenheit under black mulch and up to 15 Fahrenheit under clear mulch. Secondly, during the growth, the plant roots take up oxygen and give off carbon dioxide. So these plant leaves actually require carbon dioxide and they get it from the atmosphere. So when the plants are grown on plastic, the carbon dioxide released from the roots accumulate under the plastic and eventually escape through the holes in which the plants are growing. This chimney effect actually increases the concentration of carbon dioxide to the leaves and enhances the plant growth. Reduced evaporation would be one of the advantages if we practice plasticulture. This is because the growth rate on mulch may be twice that on unmulched soils. So maybe the plant may require even more water through evaporation is reduced. So mulching cannot substitute for a sound irrigation system. However, less water evaporates from soil under plastic mulch, and the soil moisture is maintained more uniformly. Therefore, you actually need less water per unit of production. An improved quality of vegetables and fruits are possible if we practice the plasticulture. Vegetables grown on plastic mulch are cleaner and they are less subject to rots. This is because it's not been splashed on the fruits and vegetables. Reduced soil compaction can be achieved if we practice plasticulture. The soil under plastic mulch remains loose, friable, and well aerated. When this happens, the roots have access to enough oxygen and the microbial activity is enhanced as well. Apart from that, better surface water drainage is another advantage of plasticulture. Excess water runs off the plastic-covered rows and out of the field, reducing drowning and other stresses related to waterlogged soil. The cultivation can be eliminated if we practice plasticulture. So basically, there's no need for cultivation except in the areas between the mulch strips. Weed growth in these areas can be controlled with a labeled herbicides. Last but not least, better fumigation is another advantage of plasticulture. Plastic mulches actually increases the effectiveness of soil fumigation by retaining the soil fumigants in the soil and providing a better pest control. So we are done with the advantages of plasticulture. Now let us take a look on the other side or the disadvantages of plasticulture. Firstly, the removal and disposal. So it is one of the major problems with plasticulture system. So basically the problem arises when we have to remove the mulch and drip tubing from the field after cropping. Conventional plastic mulch does not break down and should not be dished into the soil. It can, however, be recycled. Clear plastic does eventually break down, but small pieces may remain in the field for several years. In addition, there are photodegradable and biodegradable mulches, which break apart into the soil and do not have to be removed. Greater initial cost would be the second disadvantages of plasticulture. This is because the plasticulture actually requires an investment in specialized equipment, for example, bed press, mulch layer, and mulch transplanter. These initial production costs are significantly higher than that for the traditional practices. Yearly cost of plastic mulch and drip tubing further increase the production expenses. These costs, however, should be offset by increased returns from early harvest, better quality, and higher yields. Finally, increased management is the disadvantages of plasticulture. So the plastic mulch and drip irrigation must be monitored daily to be successful. Although the plasticulture technology offer several important advantages over the conventional production practices, it is not necessarily for everyone. There are several factors or questions you need to ask yourself or need to consider to decide whether the plastic culture technology is right for your operation. First factor would be, are the vegetables you intend to grow suited to produce on plastic? Number 2, will the vegetables be intensively managed? Number 3, are sufficient financial resources are obtainable or available? Number 4, do you have a good market or prospect for one? And finally, have you established a successful track record growing vegetables on background? If you answered no to one or more of these questions, then plasticulture might not be a good alternative for you now. However, if you answered yes to each of these questions, then plasticulture may be profitable for you. These slides contain a few keynotes that needs to be considered to practice a very successful plasticulture. So, firstly, the soil preparation is one of the most important factors that needs to be considered when it comes to plasticulture. Finding the water source would be one of the challenges when it comes to plasticulture. The rest of the factors I've roughly explained in the second slide. This slide actually carries the information on how to apply plasticulture method. There are 4 steps involved. As for the first step, the site needs to be prepared thoroughly. Secondly, the soil must be tilted with rototiller or with good old-fashioned hard work. As for the third step, we need to lay out the drip system and finally lay out the plastic mulch. So it is explained in a very simple way.
Preparation and planting should start soon after plastic beds are laid and before the planting holes are punched. This prevents seeds from spreading into the holes and becoming weeds. However, with careful application, this task can be done at any time. Similar to field preparation and plastic laying, it is best to work when the soil is dry. Start by shallowly tilling between beds to smooth the soil surface and eliminate any hard spots created by tractor treads. Crops with large seeds, such as rye, oats, and buckwheat, are easily spread by hand. Once the beds are established, spread seed using a sweeping motion to evenly cover the soil surface. Reserving half for a second pass will ensure stand uniformity, but is not essential. Seeding rates vary by cover crop. If you are unsure about what is appropriate, check with your county agriculture extension agent. Generally, hand spread rates should be roughly double those suggested for drilling or drop seeding. Make a final pass with a leaf or garden rake, lightly brushing the soil surface to cover the seed. A quarter to half-inch rain soon after seeding will speed germination and soil cover, so plan accordingly. Finally, try to avoid entering the field for at least a week after emergence to limit disturbance of the tender seedlings. Basic seeding equipment will reduce much of the labor in hand seeding and allow a larger area to be covered quickly. It is not necessary that the equipment be very complex or expensive to suit a small grower's needs. Some are available used at farm equipment sales or auctions. A drop seeder is essential in applying cover crops with very small seed, such as teff, for which successful hand seeding is difficult. Greater uniformity of soil cover using less seed is possible for other crops. The seeder is easily attached to a utility vehicle or a small tractor hitch. Depending upon the model, an adjustable dial will control the seeding rate through holes opened and closed using a lever. Most cover crops require relatively little care after planting. Periodic mowing of taller crops such as teff and cereal rye may be necessary to control their height. Do not allow covers to seed, otherwise they may become weedy.
Site preparation is an important component of a successful plasticulture system. The field should be plowed earlier with special attention given to the incorporating organic matter. If cover crop residue is not plowed under well and early enough to allow it to decompose, it will disrupt fumigation and require more fumigant to treat the soil. Therefore, the success you can achieve with plasticulture is largely depends on the specifics of your operation. I believe that this presentation provides you enough information to decide on whether the plasticulture is a right thing for you or not. If you think it is a right thing to practice in agriculture sector, you can always go a step forward on how to prepare the site and manage the system. We are being told that the world's food needs will double by the year 2050. Unfortunately, our current system of growing crops has a lot of disadvantages over the advantages. So, as a farmer, it is always good to look for an alternative to fix the problems we are facing with the current crops growing system. So, plastic culture farming would definitely provide a lot of opportunities to transcend the problems we are facing with the traditional growing practices. The references are attached in this slide. Thank you for your time and attention. See you in my next presentation.